was 27 years old, I left a very demanding job in the management consulting for a job that was even more demanding, teaching. I went to teach 7th grade math in the New York City public school, and like any teacher, I made quizzes and tests. I gave up homework assessment. When the work come back, I'll calculate grade. What struck me was IQ was not the only difference between my best and my worst student. Some of my stronger performers didn't have therapeutic IQ score. Some of my smarter kids weren't doing so well. And that got me thinking, the kind of thing you need to learn in 7th grade math, sure, they hard, ratio, decimal, the area of parallelogram, but these concepts are not impossible. And I was firmly convinced that every one of my students could learn the material if they working hard and long enough. After several more years of teaching, I came to the conclusion that what we need in education is much better understanding of student and learning from a motivational perspective, from a psychology perspective. In education, the one thing we know how to measure best is IQ. But what if doing well in the school and in the life depend on much more than your ability to learn quickly and easily? So I left the classroom and I went to grade school to become a psychologist. I started studying kids and adults. It's all kind of super challenging setting. In every study, my question was, who is successful here and why? My research team and I went to the West Point Military Academy. We tried to predict which cadet will stay in military training and which will drop out. We went to the National Spelling Bee and tried to predict which children will advance fastest in this competition. We studied rookie teacher working in a really top neighborhood, asking which teaching are still going to be here in teaching by the end of the school years, and of those, who will be the most effective improving learning outcome for the student. We partnered with private company asking which of these salespeople is going to keep their job and who going to earn most money in all those very different contexts. One characteristic emerged as a significant prediction of success, and it wasn't social intelligence, it wasn't good luck, psychical health, and it wasn't IQ. It was grit. Grit is a passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina, grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make the future a reality. Grit is living life like a marathon, not a sprint. A few years ago, I started studying grit in the Chicago public school. I asked thousands of high school juniors to take grit questionnaires and then waited around more than a year to see who will grade. Turned out the greatest kids were significantly more likely to grade. Even when I matched them on every characteristic I could measure, things like family income, standard Z's, achievement test score, even how safe kids felt when they were at school. So in just at West Point, the National Spelling Bee, the grit matter. It's also in school, especially for kids and the risk dropping out. To me, the most shocking thing about grit is how little we know, how little students know about building it every day. Parent and teacher ask me, how do I build grit in kids? How do I do to teach kids solid work ethics? How do I keep them motivated for long term? The honest answer is, I don't know. What I do know is that talent doesn't make you greedy. Our data show very clearly that there are many talented individuals who simply do not follow through on the commitment. In fact, in our data, grit is easily unrealistic or even inversely reverse the measure of talent. So far, the best idea I've heard about building grit is get something called growth mindset. This is based idea development at Stanford University by Carol Dweck, and it is the belief that ability to learn is not fixed, that it can change with your effort. Dr. Dweck has shown that what kids read and learn about brain and how it's changing and grow its response to challenge. They are much more likely to persevere when they fail, because they don't believe that failure is a permanent condition. So growth mindset is great idea for building grit, but we need more, and that's where I'm going to end my remark. Because that where we are, that's what was standard before us. We need to take our best idea, our strongest intuition, and we need to test them. We need to measure whether we've been successful, and we have to be willing to fail, to be wrong, to start over again with the lesson learned. In other words, we need to be greedy about getting great kids greater. Thank you.